thought I'd say this, but if anything can wash the taste of that episode of The Flash out of my mouth, it's Legends of Tomorrow. And this one has vampires in Victorian London with fog and real vampires. Bring it! So the episode opens with Arthur Devereaux doing his best Matt Smith impersonation, as in the foggy streets of London, which are very well created here. He finds a dead man with 2 puncture wounds in his neck that makes it look like a vampire got him, complete with all the blood missing in him, in his body missing. So we then find out that Jax is now trying to get Ray to help him sever his connection with Professor Stein so that he can be Firestorm on his own. And this is what Legends is getting right, that is making it my favorite show on the CW right now. But the other series aren't. There isn't some angsty or bad calculation behind this. No, it actually comes from the place of the friendship and this connection that he has with Stein. Jax can sense that after the events of last week, Stein knows that Jax is needed on the Wave Rider, and they can't be apart or they'll explode, but he knows that Stein would rather be with his daughter and his new grandchild. So he wants to be able to do that. So he wants to be able to do that for her. He wants to be able to separate them so that Stein can do that. It's not out of menace. It's not out of angst. It's not out of acting like a spoiled teenager or anything, or anger or anything else. He's just trying to do something decent and nice for a guy who's probably the best friend he'll ever have. So, well, Ray tells him that the first step towards figuring this out is using a drug to get rid of the psychic connection between them. Now, I don't know about you, but I figure that if you're going to sever a 3 or 4 year psychic connection you have with someone, the least you could do is tell them. That just seems like common courtesy. Also, Ray warns him that possible side effects include short-term memory loss. Of course, Legends being the Legends, they go ahead with it already. Meanwhile, the new girl is adjusting to life on the ship, and she's fitting in very well, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, but you want to know why this review took so long to come out? I forgot that when I go back on this medicine, it can make you extremely drowsy. I actually fell asleep while recording this review for the first time on Wednesday morning. Yes, I filled up an entire memory card with just footage of me sleeping in this chair. Slump forward sleeping in this chair. So anyway, that's going on, and Myra is trying to bond with her because their amulets react to each other, and they each seem to be getting stronger, but the new girl isn't having much of it. Meanwhile, Mick seems to have decided to add to his awesomeness by developing psychic powers and just knowing that, and he just happens to be reading Dracula when he's called away because they found a bunch of newspaper headlines of vampire killings in 1895. They talk about it as the period of Jack the Ripper, but Jack the Ripper was gone by 1895. But I'll just let that rest. Compared to some of the other history goofs they made on this show, that is so minor. So they decide. So when they get there, they find that they find um, they find Rip, and they find out that no matter what, Rip can't seem to catch a break. Even when he founds group of, first he can't get his own people to listen to him when he tells them about a great threat, and then he never really got the legends to listen to him, and now his own time bureau doesn't listen to him when he says that there's a great threat called Mollusk headed towards them. Mollusk is he's been tracking Mollusk for years apparently, but nobody will believe him that it's real. But he does know that the blood from the people being taken is being used to resurrect someone. So after much pleading from Rip and a promise that he'll get the Time Bureau off them, Sarah agrees to help him hunt down whoever this is they're trying to resurrect and use it to come face to face and get with Mollusk and get proof that he exists. They decide to use Nick as bait for the vampire, and Mick continues to be awesome by arming himself to the teeth with every vampire hunting tool you could possibly imagine, including garlic around the neck, a spike, everything. When they get to the morgue with the latest victim, he even stabs it right away to make sure that it doesn't come back. So not only is the guy possibly psychic, not only does he not care what other people think, but he is now genre savvy. Tell me this isn't the most awesome character in any superhero series ever. They find that the morgue attendant has a smart watch, one that was invented by Ray in the future. And they're even more puzzled to find Oliver Queen's fingerprints on it when they take it back to the Wave Rider and examine it. But anyway, they use Nick as bait, and he gets kidnapped by Stein's ancestor, an actor who is also into spiritualism, and who wants to use his blood to resurrect someone. And is a servant of Mollusk. And that's actually accurate. Spiritualism was a big thing around this time. So that means, far from getting rid of Victor Garbo, in this episode we get 2 Victor Garbers for the price of 1. Thumbs up, Legends. And so the Legends infiltrate a party where there's one of those seance ladies who makes the lights flicker and can talk to the dead, and she makes what sounds like contact with the new girl's dead brother, and she seems to be asking her the question of why she abandoned him. Back on the Wave Rider after all this, and after they rescue Nick, who it turns out it isn't a vampire taking blood, there's just a machine that is draining blood into a coffin, the new girl reveals that she got the amulet not because it was passed down to her, but because it was her brother's. He died protecting her and her family while she ran away in fear. So, as you can imagine, that's weighing pretty heavily on her conscience, and she doesn't really want that. She then goes back to the spiritualist and to try and get another read because she wants to tell her brother she's sorry. She's told by the spiritualist that she needs something of her brother's, so she hands over the amulet. Dumb move because it was all a trap, and the spiritualist starts using the amulet. Rip then They then find out that the person who they're trying to resurrect is Damien Dark. Can't this guy just stay dead? Just die already! So yeah, Damien Dark is in 1895 and getting resurrected by cultists in fog-filled London. You know how Star Trek has sort of lost its way, but its spiritual success, but its spirit is alive and well in the Orville? Yeah, Star Trek is sort of alive and well in the Orville. Doctor Who is going through the same thing, with the Doctor knowing too much, the sonic screwdriver being a magic wand, and being able to steer, and the Doctor no longer being a rebel because the Time Lords don't exist. The spirit of Doctor Who is alive and well in Legends of Tomorrow, the same way the spirit of Star Trek is alive and well in the Orville. So anyway, a meeting of spiritualists is happening to resurrect Damien Dark, and Rip wants it to go through with it so that he can finally trap Mollusk. Sarah is having none of this, saying that they just need to stop the resurrection of Damien Dark because he'll kill people. Rip then uses one of his many secret commands to lock the Wave Rider up while he goes to the spiritualists meeting. To his credit, though, he still allows them to fly Wave Rider, but they just can't get out of it. Which is why Sarah fires 2 of their own missiles into it to blow a hole in it so they can get out. At the resurrection, Rip actually does try to stop it by having a bunch of Time Bureau agents show up. However, Damien is resurrected because this villain is the most frightening villain there is. Despite everything they do and the legends being there, Damien Dark is resurrected, and with just a few waves of his hands and floating in the air and his eyes turning blood red, he is able to just crush everything, including killing all of the Time Bureau agents. And the New Girl gets her amulet back, but the legends and everyone else only get away because Rip froze some sort of grenade, that time-freezing grenade, for a second. It's clear that they are completely outmatched by this threat. Mollusk is the best villain the Arrowverse has ever had if they keep going down this road. But anyway, Rip then doesn't even seem to be bothered by the couple of dozen or so agents of the Time Bureau who have died. This causes, and Sarah is very upset by the fact that he broke his word. So she makes a deal with the Time Bureau and hands Rip over to them because he is now a fugitive. And she gets to promise that the Time Bureau will no longer be chasing down the legends. She says Rip has taught her how to be that cold, but she looks like she just ran over her own dog while she's doing it. This doesn't stop Rip from giving her one last warning, though, that she needs to prepare the legends because they're the only ones who can stop Mollusk. We then get a coda where Stein finds out what Jax and Ray have been up to, and he's not mad at them, but he does point out that Mollusk seems to exist throughout all of time, and if they don't deal with who or whatever Mollusk is, then his daughter and grandchild won't even be alive for him to spend time with. So they decide to drop that whole angle, which means we get to keep Victor Garber. So I can't think of anything bad to say about this. This felt like the Legends is without a doubt the best show on the CW right now, and it's the best show in the Arrowverse right now. Since it's found its new tone, and since it seems to have decided to become the spiritual successor to, and this episode feels like it's a spiritual successor to Doctor Who, I could complain about a few things, but there isn't really anything. The atmosphere is great, the humor all lands, the cast has great chemistry. I don't know what more you could want. This episode gets a 9 out of 10 for me, and Legends is the show I'm looking forward to seeing every single week on the CW now. So, enjoy.